Thank the Lord, I thought this day would never come. Hello and welcome to my review for Season 3 of Classic Who. I am Regan, your companion, I guess. Your naive friend who's decided to embark on this journey for better or for worse. It's worth noting that there's no regularity on this channel as of this time of recording. However, I'd like to make my life so much more tricky and say that from the release of the Season 2 review, there will be a video on this channel every week. Whether that be a Doctor Pooh, whether that be a review, because I imagine there's going to be enough Doctor Who content for us to get through, and just not churn out videos for the sake of it, but just there's going to be enough for us to talk about, especially within the coming weeks, because we've recently had it announced, at least when this recording is going out, of the dates of when Ncuti Gatwa's era is going to officially start its broadcasting. And yeah, can't wait. But before we get into that, there's plenty more to talk about with Season 3 of Classic Who, another William Hartnell-led season. It's worth noting straight off the bat that on BritBox, at least, there are far less episodes available than the last two seasons. There's only 12 of what looks like to be a 46-ish episode run. So the first serial that's available is one where the Tardis crew land on what they think to be a jungle, but then turns out to be a ecosystem that's on a spaceship, and the spaceship has a load of colonists that are traveling to a new planet, and these colonists are made up of humans and then humanoid creatures. It's worth noting that I thought these designs of these humanoid creatures were great up until what I saw they were meant to look like in color, and they don't look good. They're kind of like, if abstract reference for abstract channel about abstract topic, but if any of you have ever played Club Penguin, it was kind of like Puffles but with a single eye, like a Cyclops, on a human body. And when they turn up, I think we get introduced to a new companion called Dodo. Far better than Vicky as a character. I genuinely started to dislike Vicky as a companion. I just didn't get along with her, but Dodo is on Susan levels, and I think it helps that she looks a lot like Susan. But yeah, Dodo's fun, and her outfits are fun as well. Just seems like a fun companion. And it turns out that Dodo has the sniffles, and ends up giving it to some of the colonists. And because it's so many hundreds of years into the future, where they'd eradicated the common cold but then left Earth, and no longer within their generational growth have a need to build up an immune system to it, the common cold hits them kind of like COVID did, where it just starts wiping them out. More so the humanoid aliens than the colonists, although it then starts to affect the colonists, and we get our first death within the human ranks. Also, and forgive me, I don't remember the name of the male companion, but he also falls ill, and it seems like that going through Dodo into the humanoid / humans back into a human that would have built up. I don't know. So these companions come out of nowhere. I have no idea what time they're from. They probably don't have the common cold. I don't know. He falls quite sick as well. So it comes to the Doctor to have to formulate a remedy, which he does eventually do and dish out, and instead of being accused of being a threat to the colony and to the colonists, he's heralded as being the savior, and they depart ways from that colony under quite happy circumstances. It's worth noting that during the early portion of this episode, when they realise that they're not in a jungle but instead in some kind of artificial ecosystem, they discover a statue, and it's in the very early stages of being built, where it's just a pair of feet. I think it said that this statue will be the depiction of the of the humans who share this colony ship. And they get escorted back to the TARDIS. TARDIS dematerializes. Fuck! It dematerializes and rematerializes back within what looks like the same jungle, and they come out and are like, where? And they wander around for a bit, and they discover the ship in a state of disrepair. Well, when I say that, it's more just leaves are blown around and it just looks a bit shit. And they find that hundreds of years have passed. Something that I rather wrongfully neglected to mention earlier was that it became apparent now within the episode. It seems like they're depicting the humans using these humanoid aliens as slaves. It's less brutal than that. I think it's more just that almost like with, I mean, perhaps this says a bit about my role in the world, but it almost seems like just the standard hierarchy of an office or something like that, where there are just people in there that get to call the shots, and those lower down who do what those higher ups ask them to do. It just seemed like that. But when they return, they find that the tables have switched, and at least within this depiction, the humans are very much slaves to these humanoid aliens. They also find the statue, and it's been fully built, except instead of a fully fledged human statue, it goes all the way up to human until it reaches the head, and it is the alienish head. I want to say monarchs. That's what's floating around in my head. I don't think that's right. I've got that in my head for some reason, but that's the thing. They are about to get to their destination that they've been heading to all this time, and they send down the Doctor and a couple of these other humans along with one of their people as an escort, and they arrive on this planet because they want to colonize it. But these alien creatures, at least at this point, are completely happy with eradicating any natives that live on that planet. And when they discover the natives, they find that they've, I think, ascended to a higher form of being, perhaps, but they're completely invisible. And any structures that they built are more for the fact that they anticipated this arrival and did that for the humans and the humanoids as opposed for themselves. And there is a conflict. This is where the episode again drags, or the serial drags a bit, because I start to forget stuff. The conflict is concluded, and it turns out that the only way that these natives will allow these two individual species to live there is if they live together in harmony and show that they can do that. And that's, I think, how the serial ends. Probably the second week. It's difficult to rank them, but there are 3 serials that are at least complete within season 3, and this is the second weakest. But then we go straight to the first greatest, which is the Doctor's Holiday. And man, could they have not found a better era to set this in. Completely devoid of any mythological, extraterrestrial, magical elements. It is set in the Wild West, but specifically more the cheesy spaghetti western Wild West. And it is great. It is absolutely great. It has a banger of a musical piece that I know plays too often. It plays at the end of nearly every single scene change, and it's just one line of the song. And I think it is called The Last Chance Saloon. Absolute banger. Would suggest listening to it. It's like 10 minutes long, but it's just brilliant. And as I understand it, the lady who sings it features in Doctor Who, following on from that twice, once in Classic Who and once in New Who, as a random shop assistant in the Matt Smith episode with the Cybermen and forgotten his bloody name, but James Corden. There we go. And absolute banger. Would recommend listening to it. it's again quite a long serial, and I'm not going to claim to remember all of it, but it's just the setting's really, really fun. The song's really, really fun. The Dodo and their male companion, their dynamic's quite fun. It's a lot of back and forth and a lot of people getting captured and then gunfights ensuing. But yeah, anything that's set in the Wild West, and that's why I want to go and revisit at some point A Town Called Mercy, which is another Matt Smith episode, because any setting within the Wild West is just so fun and interesting, and this was no exception. So would recommend. There's very little to say on the episode other than it's great, or the serial, it's great. And I think something that I'd love to do with the cast of Doctor Who, or just any group of people, is to sit them down and be like, here's my favourite episode or serial within New Who, and here's my favourite episode or serial within Classic Who. And I think at the moment of this point recording, and I know it's mental because I, again, have watched ahead and I've seen bits of season 4, and, you know, there's stories in there and first appearances of some of the most iconic creatures and villains of all time in Doctor Who, and then you got this grubby serial that's all about the Doctor wanting to get his tooth that he cracked on a sweet that was given in some serial that we've only got an episode of, as the main crux of his story. Within that, it's great, and I'll have no one else say differently. It's so good. Yeah, it's great. And with that, we now go on to the bloody worst story arc within this season, and it is the War Machine. And it's a real shame because it starts off with such an interesting premise, where it's the I guess the robots, they're constructed originally from this kind of master robot that they've developed sentience and can answer any question, including what does the Tardis stand for, and it immediately gets ruined by adding in these boxy things that I think at one point were going to be the replacement for the Daleks, that also have gas weapons, and they're just so cumbersome and just rubbish, and the serial falls flat because they're just not menacing, unlike the Daleks, which are, and it's not great. There's very little to say on that other than I just didn't enjoy that serial, unfortunately. I'm rushing this slightly because I've got a notification that says that there's 4 minutes left on my camera recording, which sucks a bit. But yeah, a bit of a shorter episode because there's very little that still exists on season 3, but would recommend checking out The Doctor's Holiday because it is smashing and it's just so much fun. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, if you have a moment, please drop this channel a like. Please also drop a comment if you have anything you'd like to say, whether it be good or bad, and at some point when we get round to doing another podcast, we will read out your comment on the podcast, assuming that it is family-ish safe, I guess. You know, swear if you like, but just be kind if you can. I understand if that's just not something that you feel like I deserve, but it'd be nice because there are other people that share this channel. Just it'd be nice to talk about Doctor Who in a safe space because that's what we want to create. At least within the podcast, I know the channel and the comments we can't really do much about. But within the podcast, we're going to be creating a safe space that's just somewhere to vibe out, get drunk, and listen to a load of idiots talk about Doctor Who. That is what we want to do, and I hope you can join us for it. But thank you so much for watching. I've been Regan. Until the next time, we are traveling into time and space.